you doing? All right.
Yeah, good mate. How are you?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Thank you.
Where are you these days?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Busy with work, but yeah, two young lads to keep me occupied. So yeah, all good, all good.
Whereabouts are you?
I'm living near Sheffield, just outside of Sheffield. I'm growing up there, basically, apart from moving up to Hull for a bit when I played up there. I've been here all my life, so yeah, still down here.
Oh, good stuff. And you say you're working for yourself these days?
Yeah, I've got my own plastering business, so I've given myself a day off today. So I need it sometimes, getting on a bit.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, nice to have a little Friday off.
Yeah, definitely. Long weekend.
Yeah. Well, cheers for doing this, mate. Appreciate it.
That's all right. No probs.
Yeah, so if we can go right back to your first days at City, like how did you end up at City from non-league, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, basically, I was at Sheffield Wednesday as a kid, from like 11 till 16, I think. And then back in them days, you either got an apprenticeship or they released you. I was one of the lads who got released. I went to play non-league football when I was sort of 18, 19, something like that, for Sheffield Club. I don't know if you've heard of them. It's the oldest football club in the world. And basically, I was doing all right. I was enjoying my football and stuff. I had a little spell at Stockport, played 2 or 3 reserve games. Nothing came of that. And then we played a game up at Ferriby, North Ferriby. And I had a decent game and whatnot. And I believe the chairman or the manager at Ferriby rang either Terry Dolan or Martin Fish, who was obviously the chairman at the time. And I got invited up to play a reserve game at Boothferry Park, October 93, I think it was, something like that.
Yeah.
So.
And what are your first memories of kind of Boothferry Park and stuff? Obviously, was it a step up in terms of?
It was, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I was buzzing. I was working in a factory. I was a welder. Again, it was hard work. I was proper working class sort of lad, playing my football as well. So, very busy with it all. But to have a chance, a little sniff to go and be involved at a pro club was incredible. And I remember going up on the Wednesday. I think we played Grimsby at Boothferry Park on a Wednesday night. Went into the changing room, didn't have a clue where I was going, stuff like that. No, didn't know anyone. I think I'd spoke to Jeff Lee. I think he'd phoned me the week before or something to arrange it. So obviously met him and we played Grim. I remember Manny played. He were in a very similar situation to myself. We played Grimsby. I think we got beat. I can't remember what the score was, but I think we got beat. I had a decent game, and I remember they invited myself and my dad into Terry's office after. My dad had a can of John Smith's or whatever and a bit of a chat, and they seemed quite impressed. I played a reserve game the week after at Tranmere. I must have done all right again, and the next thing I know, I'm on the bench for the first team on the Saturday. So it all went pretty quick. But yeah, it was incredible. Really, really, proper buzzing with it all.
And am I right in thinking you scored on your debut? Is that right?
Yeah. I said we played the reserve game at Tranmere on the Wednesday. I think Jeff Lee came down to pick me up actually from Sheffield, and I had no car, no transport or anything. Drove me up to Prenton Park, where they play. And then I must have got a phone call on the Thursday or Friday inviting me for the pre-match meal, which we used to go to. Is it Grange Park or something like that hotel?
Right, yeah, I think so. Yeah,
we used to go there for a pre-match meal, and they told me to report 12 o'clock on the Saturday, like with your suit on. I don't even know if I had a suit, so I might have to go and buy one and get my tie on and stuff like that, and went up. I think Manny were there again, so obviously I knew him from playing in reserves and that. So and then they named the team. I think we all went down to the ground. I think we'd had 1 or 2 injuries. Dino was suspended, I think he got sent off the week or a couple of weeks before against Bradford or something like that. so they were sort of low on numbers, and yeah, they put me on the bench, and I was absolutely brilliant stuff. Couldn't wait to get out there, and I think we were losing. Well, we were losing. We were losing 1-0. It was a decent crowd there because I think they were sort of top three. I think we'd had quite a good start that season. There was like 6,000 or 7,000 there, so it was quite a good crowd, and we were losing 1-0. And I remember warming up with I think it was Chris Hargreaves, like obviously jogging up and down and that. And the second half, he says, "Well, I said, do you think we'll get on?" Like, he says, "Yeah, we'll all get on." I can't remember it. The subway might have been a goal. I can't remember, but he says, "Yeah, we'll definitely get on." And obviously, your adrenaline's pumping, and couldn't wait to get on. Eventually, get the call over about half an hour from the end or something. We're still losing 1-0, and I goes on, and 5 minutes later, I managed to score. So yeah, it was the dream debut, as you say.
Excellent, yeah. Yeah, we had Gary Hobson on. Well, I spoke to Gary on Monday.
And, I watched it. Yeah.
I didn't really ask him about like the dynamic of Terry Dolan and Jeff Lee. It seemed a bit of a good cop, bad cop, but Gary kind of said Terry could lose his head as well at points. What were they like to work with?
It could. I mean, I always thought Terry was all right with himself. Jeff, again, he was very sort of hot-headed. If you weren't playing well, you certainly knew about it. And I obviously got quite a few roastings off him, as a few of the other lads did. So, yeah, it was probably a bit of, good cop, bad cop sort of thing. But they worked well together. But they would say Terry was sound with me. I had no problem at all with him. But Jeff, once or twice, I thought he might have stepped over the line a bit. But it's what it is, isn't it?
Yeah. A bit old school back then, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
Just reading here as well that you have to play a game at right back early on against Blackpool. What was that like?
I don't think I played right back, but I was down on the sheet. I think I wore number 2. Whereas playing wide right or whatever, you sort of number 7 something. And so I think they gave me the number 2 shirt. But yeah, that was my first start. Basically, after the Fulham game, I got flu. They were a massive sort of flu bug going round at the time at the club, and I got it after the Fulham game, I think, and it proper knocked me for 6. I lost quite a bit of weight and a bit of strength and stuff. And I think Blackpool might have been about I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks later, something like that. And they gave me my first start, and I was down at number 2. I got the number 2 shirt, but I might have played on the left actually that night, but we got battered 6-2. So that was an eye opener.
Yeah, fair. Like you say, we did quite well in those first 2 seasons you were at City. Quite memorable seasons and some memorable games in the 94-95 season. And I think I saw today that the 7-1 against Crewe, was that on your birthday?
It might have been actually, yeah. We won 7-1. I think it was October time. But we were like 3rd, 4th in the league, something like that. It was around the time as well. Now, listening to Obbo the other day, he mentioned the Oxford game when Fetz came on and scored. It was a similar time, but up to sort of Christmas time, New Year, we were sort of holding our own. We were like top 3, top 4 most of the season. So yeah, it was good. It was really good. I enjoyed it. So yeah, brilliant.
Yeah. Obviously, you grabbed the goal that day as well, which must have been good.
I think it was. I don't think it was much of a special goal. It was just a bit of a scramble. I seem to remember Manny playing well that day. I know Brownie got a hat trick. I think, didn't he, Linton?
Yeah.
I think Manny had a good game that day.
One of Brownie's goals is hilarious. The keeper plays it off him, and it's literally he smacks it off his hand and scores.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, he's gone to close him down, hasn't he? And he's tried to dink it over him. He's virtually caught the ball or whatever. He stopped it with his hands and just put it in. But yeah, honestly, they were great days. Really good.
Yeah. Am I right in thinking you had quite a good relationship with Manny?
Yeah, well, yeah, we sort of go back to when we started in that. I think we were both sort of working and playing sort of part-time. That first season when I scored against Fulham, I'd be at work Monday to Friday, whatever, and might get on the bench for the first team on a Saturday. And the same with Manny. We'd play every reserve game on a Wednesday if he did well, or if there were 1 or 2 injuries, we might get a call to be on the first team. I started 1 or 2 near the end of the season, but I think we both signed exactly the same contract, same money, same obviously duration, and he's a very similar age to myself, so yeah, we sort of went into it together.
Yeah, fair. Let's got some good goals between you, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, I say I've got 2 young lads, and they love the football and that, and you see YouTube and things like that, and there is your type Hull City, whatever season, and you've got 1 or 2 goals on there, so yeah, they're good to look back on. They really are.
And then training at that time was training at the back of Boothferry Park behind the gym.
Yes, I always remember a Monday morning we used to go around to Johnny Whiteley, the rugby league guy.
Yeah, he
owned his own gym, so we used to have to. We obviously get in Monday morning if we'd won, lost, drawn, whatever. Mondays were hard, honestly, and we used to have to run round to his gym, half a mile run or whatever. Do a big weight session in there, run back to the ground, and we'd be straight on the back pitch for a proper tear up. There were no holding back or anything. There were tackles flying in everywhere, and yeah, we got a good sweat on. Honestly, Mondays were really tough. Finished off with some running, and yeah, that's how it was.
Yeah, fair. And then was it maybe not the next season, but the season after the Whitby game?
Yeah.
I mean, what was that like to be in? I remember the first game being it's just a mud bath, wasn't it? The away game.
Yeah, it was at Scarborough's ground, wasn't it? Yeah, it was absolutely hammering it down all game. The pitch was heavy anyway, but it never stopped raining. And we took quite a good following, it was full behind the net. They're obviously desperate for a good cup run and whatnot, but it was, I don't know, it was a 0-0, wasn't it? Really scrappy game.
Yeah.
I think the replay was on the Tuesday or Wednesday. Back then you play at the weekend, and then the replay would be straight after that midweek, wasn't it? So we played him at Boothferry Park, and we were losing. It was a crazy game, honestly. We were losing 4-3 with a minute left or something, and then Dwayne got his last minute equaliser, and we kicked on from there. Yeah.
Who did we play? I remember we lost in the next round to Crewe, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah, they had some good players then, though. They had, I think,
was Danny Murphy playing?
Danny Murphy, Savage, players like that. Neil Lennon might have been there. So they had a good side, but they came to Boothferry Park and spanked us 5-1, I think it was. So
yeah, I do remember that. And he scored a screamer around that time in that IBC shirt against Carlisle. I was watching it this morning. Was that one of your better goals? It
was, yeah. Probably probably my best one. We were struggling. We were rooted to the bottom of the league. I don't know how many we'd won that season, but around December, January time, I think it was. And we went 2-0. I think Dino he just moved on to Aberdeen, I think he went to. And we went 2-0 up. I scored the long range one to start with and got another one about 2 minutes later. We'd not won for a long time. So I think, we're buzzing with 2-0 up here. And then we ended up losing 5-2, which was... didn't really see that coming, but yeah, one of my better goals.
Yeah. And then, just coming to the end of Terry Dolan's time, what do you remember of we talked to Gary about, that season it started to turn when we got relegated. He left in the March, I think, but
yeah.
I mean, what was it like for the team with all the protests going on and everything? How did it affect the team?
It wasn't nice. It wasn't a nice place to be around. We sort of tried to block it out as much as possible, but we were obviously aware of it. I mean, as I say, Terry were always sound with me. Martin Fish, the chairman, he proper gentleman sort of thing. He got dogs abuse, didn't he? Really, Fish sent through his letterbox and stuff like that, and which I don't know, some of it probably weren't called for, but it was a toxic time, should we say? But we just tried to black it out as much as possible.
Yeah. And I was reading the Decade book, You know, when David Lloyd comes in with Mark Hateley, and so a few of the quotes from players like Steve Wilson saying, you know, at the start of his reign, everything seemed quite professional and that it's quite exciting.
Yeah.
What do you remember from when he first came in?
I remember I think we were on holiday in Turkey. I think I'd gone with an ex-girlfriend. Manny were there with his. Go back to Manny again, but he was there with his girlfriend, his wife now. Adam Lowthorpe were there as well. So we were sort of a few couples away on holiday. And we read it in the paper one day that Mark Hateley were taking over, which we obviously knew that Terry and Jeff were going. Obviously a takeover coming through and stuff. So we gets back and reports into training, and Jeff and Terry are there turning up. I think we were at the university training up there, and they were there again. What's going on here? And they took training for about another week after we'd come back. I think they knew that they were going, but we turned up. They were brilliant about it. To be honest, they took training as normal. And it weren't until probably the week or so after the deal went through or whatever, and Mark Hateley and Billy Kirkwood turned up. And to be fair, to start with, we had a good pre-season. We played some of the Scottish teams, Aberdeen, Hearts. I think we played as well, and we did quite well against them. And then once the season kicked off, we struggled. We really struggled. So yeah, it was a good start, but we didn't really keep it going.
Yeah. Kind of at what point, there seems to be a bit of turning point that Steve Wilson and a few others talk where you kind of realised that Hateley wasn't the man for the job. Do you remember like a turning point kind of thing?
I think Billy Kirk, again, they were all right with me. Mark Hateley and Billy Kirk, they were fine with me. I had no problem with them at all. They always seemed to treat me all right and played me more often than not. So I was fine with them both. I think Billy left before Mark Hateley did, if I'm right. I can't remember, to be honest, but I think Billy left first, and it was just the writing were on the wall. You know, we were struggling. I think there was us, Brighton, and Doncaster. I think it would totally cut adrift. You know, at the bottom of League 2 now, and so we were like, it was us three like scrapping to stay up, if you like. And I think it were only because Doncaster were, struggling even more than the rest, us and Brighton, that we got away with it that season. But yeah, you could see that some of it were coming and needed to be changes quick.
Yeah. But yeah, I read that he started you for pretty much every game, and so you had a hernia operation or something?
I did. I struggled. Again, I'd not had many injuries at all, really, from playing football as a kid. And then they all seemed to sort of come at once. There were a few of us had hernias, actually. I can't remember who had it.
Manny had one at one point.
Manny had one. Sam Sharman, I don't know if you remember him.
Yeah.
We ended up going down to a place in Shrewsbury, and we drove down together to see this specialist, and basically he operated on us both the day after. So we had it done at the same time. We sort of had his own room and stuff, but we had it done at the same time, and that kept me out for a bit, and then it didn't seem to settle down properly, and I struggled with it for a while, to be honest. But it's just one of them things, isn't it? A niggly one.
Yeah. And there was some signings that season that were quite memorable, like David Rocastle coming in. What was it like playing with him?
Brilliant. I mean, obviously, he was a legend, wasn't he? Arsenal league winner with Arsenal, played for England, but he was such a gent. He weren't a big, you think he's coming from Arsenal or whatever. He's coming to play with us lot down at bottom of League 2. And he was brilliant, honestly. He was a really nice fella. Obviously, it's a massive shame at what happened with him and that. But, brilliant lad. And what a player, yeah. And we had, I think we had Glyn Hodges, another experienced pro, Kevin Gage. I think that was the thing with the manager at the time, Mark. He didn't really know many players in the lower leagues. He obviously played at a much higher level than what we had, so we tried to bring these experienced pros in to sort of try and help us out a bit. But we just kept struggling most of the season.
I do remember, like, the crowd never got on top of him, did they? They kind of were
No, not
always
really.
supporting the team that season, even though we
Yeah,
finished, near the bottom.
yeah, they didn't really. No, they didn't really go after him. So we were struggling, and we played some decent football. I think it was Colchester away. We lost 4-3 or something like that. And I remember their manager after the game saying it's one of the best footballing teams that they'd played all season. So we played some decent stuff, and he tried to get us playing, and training was always all right. There were lively sessions, and the training sessions were quite good standard wise. I don't know. It's hard to put your finger on it, but once you get down there, it's difficult to get away really sometimes.
Yeah. But two memorable wins that season. One being 7-4 against Swansea.
Yeah.
What do you remember about that game?
Yeah, it was a crazy game. Honestly, ball just never seemed to be out of the penalty area. It was just balmy, one end to the other. I can't remember how the scoring went, but it was just crazy. Honestly, I think it was quite early on in the season as well. And
yeah,
even when we were 7-4 up, we were thinking, have we done enough? Are they going to, push on again, or is that it?
Yeah,
even last 5 minutes. Because I think we played Torquay that season, we were 3-0 up with about 5 minutes left.
Yeah.
We ended up drawing 3-3. And we're like, how the hell's that happened? So some bizarre games, honestly. But that were certainly a good one for the fans. That's 7-4.
Yeah. I remember my dad used to love telling a story about that Torquay game. Apparently there was two City fans that left at 3-1 or 3-0 maybe and went to 3 tugs. Right. And when the video printer came in, they were like, that's definitely a mistake.
Yeah, that was a crazy game. It really was.
And then, the win against Palace over 2 legs. Yeah,
the cup run. Yeah, we beat him at Boothferry Park 1-0, I think. Did Dwayne score that night?
Yeah.
So obviously we're off down to their place for the second leg, and everyone's thinking, they're going to turn the big team out, whatever, and sort of, and go through easy. But we went 1-0 up. I think it was Ian Wright that scored from a corner, centre half. And Willow were brilliant that night. I remember Willow had a cracking game, but he needed to, because obviously the Premier League, weren't they? So they made us work for it. We had to defend really, really well. And I think we went through. We lost 2-1 on the night after extra time, I think, but we managed to get through somehow. So
yeah. And then play Newcastle in the next round. Did you play that game?
Well, I'd been in the team. I say Mark and Billy they were picking me, and I was playing. I was doing all right, sort of thing. And I'd scored the previous 2 Saturdays. I can't remember who we played now, but I'd scored. So I thought, well, I should be all right. I should be playing at Newcastle. This was a midweek, and we were up in a hotel near Newcastle somewhere. And he starts reading the team out, and I wasn't in it. He'd put himself in. Mark Haley put himself in and left me out, which it was a big, it was a big blow for me, because I was looking, you don't get many of them games. We were obviously playing League Two, and that's playing a Premiership team away from home, full house. I was absolutely gutted, to be honest. I got on for about half an hour or something, but I was proper a bit caught up about that.
Yeah, fair play. And then, I just wondered, during all that time, Gary was saying about players getting sold. And I mean, you and Manny were 2 of our most talented players. Did you ever have a chance to leave during that time before you actually went?
I don't think so. You hear one or 2 rumours, but I mean, one of them was, I think we played Bolton in the Cup. And not bragging about it, I used to do all right against the teams higher up, in Cup games and that. And I think I got man of the match when we played them at our place. And someone had seen something in a paper. I don't know if it was the whole paper or not, but there were a rumour about them. But nothing really, until they get called into the manager's office, nothing happens, does it? So nothing really happened.
Yeah, moving to the next season where Mark Haley leaves. There's that famous game away at Bolton, actually. the tennis balls.
Yeah, that was the first leg, wasn't it? Yeah.
I think that's what David Lloyd said was the turning point for him or something.
It could have been. I remember he dragged us all down to London for a meeting, David Lloyd. Gave us all a bit of a dressing down in his hotel.
Oh,
One or
really?
two of the senior players sort of not stood up to him, but gave him a bit back, and quite amusing.
So what is he saying? Obviously that we should be doing better.
Yeah, he had us down. I think we got beat off. I can't remember who it was at the weekend, and England were playing. I remember. I think they were playing a match at Wembley. So the plan was we were all going down to this meeting to see David Lloyd, and then going on to the England game after. So he gets us all in this hotel room. Not good enough, because just gives us a dressing down, really. I remember one of his comments, because he obviously got all these gyms, and he says, "You're not fit enough. You're not fit enough. I've got 50-year-old women who are fitter than you lot," or something like that. So Glyn Hodges, who was there at the time, says, "Well, go and effing sign them then," or something like that. So we're all trying to make eye contact. We're all giggling away like little kids, I suppose. But yeah, that were a cracking comment to come back to him with. But yeah, and then we went on to England game after that. So
Right.
yeah, so that was remember that one quite well.
Yeah, fair. Did you have some good nights out over the years as well? After fetish scores, I imagine there's a good night out after that.
Yeah, definitely. I remember when I first started, I think we played Scarborough in the cup. We got battered it was my first full season. We lost at Oxford heavily, 4-0, I think it was, and then we played Scarborough in the cup on a Tuesday night, and we won 2-1. And I scored one of the goals, and sort of finished the game, and I don't know, about 8 or 9 of us headed off into town, and we went to LA's the nightclub. Yeah. And we get to, it was like an 80s night or something like that. We didn't get there till fairly late because we obviously played the game and that. So it was a quick change, and we're off out. And I remember, I can't remember who it was. He says, "Oh, there's a big queue, 100-yard long to get in." And they said, one at place, "Oh, we don't have to queue up. We just walk straight in." And I just remember feeling a bit uncomfortable about it. All these people just stood queuing up, and we just bowled straight in, and just we went straight in and walked in. So yeah, we had some great nights, really good.
Yes. Who was the standout characters on the night out
then? Well, obviously Dino were always there. Linton, they were always lively on nights out, but we all got on really well. We were a brilliant team spirit and that, and we were all really good friends and that. So we were all similar age. So yeah, it was good. We had some good laughs. Really good.
Yeah, and people always talk about back in the day, these good relationship between fans and players. There was always quite a lot of interaction with the fans back then.
Back then there was. They'd come up, "Well played," all this lot, and buy you a pint, whatever, and it were quite good. A bit later on, it got a bit, a bit naughty. It's it totally changed. Fans were happy and that, and we'd get a bit of stick, so we tended not to go out as much then.
Yeah, fair play. Yeah. Then getting back to that final season at City, did you play in the game that was deemed maybe the last game at Boothferry Park?
No, I was ill with. I used to struggle with tonsillitis a lot. I think I had tonsillitis that night. It was a night game, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I was gutted. I can't remember who they played, but I missed that one because I had illness. I wasn't very well, so I missed that one. But yeah, I remember it. There was a big crowd there, weren't they? So everyone thought that might be the last one.
Yeah. I mean, what's that like for the players at that time? Are you just kind of getting on with it and training?
Yeah, we're just trying to get on with it and training. I say, going back to it being run professionally and stuff, it probably did go a bit then, but we were, training kit. We used to get his training kit all laid out at, early on, and then it all just used to come in a big shopping trolley. So we're a big rummage around, to get the best shorts or socks like that. So it did go a bit, dog and duck, if you like, towards the end. But now we just, I don't know, that were a scary time though, thinking it was going to be the last ever game there, and we didn't have a clue what we're going to go off, so we just kept going until we were told otherwise.
Yeah. And then obviously Haley gets sacked, and then Warren Joyce comes in. Did you know that you weren't going to be playing for Warren Joyce, or how did it happen?
Not really. Again, my hernia had come back again. I say it came back, and I weren't sure if I would have it operated on again or not. Because I know we're out for quite a bit with that. I can't remember how long I was out for with it, but Joycey took over, and I was just sort of getting my fitness back, trying to get back training and stuff like that. And I'd been out for, I don't know, maybe a month, something like that. And then I remember one of my first training sessions, I went over on my ankle. It does happen, you know, when you're recovering from one injury, the amount of players who pick something else up straight away is unbelievable. So I went over on my ankle, so that put me out for another couple of weeks, and eventually started training again. And I don't know, I played a couple of games and basically got told I was on my way.
Right, okay. I think is it a player exchange? We got
John Whitney, Jason Perry. I didn't really want to go, to be honest. I didn't want to go at all, but Joycey said, look, we've agreed a deal or whatever. You need to get down to Lincoln and sort it out. They were in League One at the time as well. So I drove down there and the deal got sorted. And I said I didn't really want to go, but in the end, you know, got no choice really.
But maybe not a bad move for your career if you're moving up a league. Like, how did it go?
No, well, yeah, I moved there, but then they got relegated. So we ended up in the same league again. But I moved to Lincoln again. I struggled with injuries. Not making excuses and that, but I struggled with injuries. I did my knee. I think I did my ankle again or something like that. I seemed to be sort of in and out of the team quite a bit. And then I think their manager got sacked. Alan Buckley took over. He offered me a year's contract. He only took over in the March or something at the end of the 2 years that I were there. He played me for the last few games, and he offered me another year. The agent who I'd got at the time said, you need 2 years, which I thought, well, I've not really been playing. So anyway, we left it and we went off for summer break and all that. And then it popped up on teletext that they'd released me. So that was it. I was gone.
Right. It's a nice way to find out.
Yeah. I was on a stag do in, I think it was Hamburg or somewhere like that. And I think my mum or my dad phoned me up and said, look, you've been released. Great. So yeah, come on teletext.
Could have waited till you got back, couldn't they?
I know, exactly. Yeah, so never mind.
Yeah, you left by the time we played Villa that season?
No, I was there then.
Right. What was the Villa game like?
Again, I were on the bench. I think sounds like I were injured all the time, but I was just coming back from something. It might have been this hernia again. I can't remember, but I managed to make it on the bench, and I just remember wanting to get out there as quick as possible, like to warm up, you know, just to get on the pitch and see what it was like. I think we lost 3-0 in the end, but we didn't disgrace us. I think they were top of the Premier League at the time.
Bottom, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Top against bottom. And they were on match of the day and stuff like that. I don't know. But I was full house, 39,000, 40,000 or something. So another brilliant experience, even though we lost. But
I remember the Luton game in the second round was great when Big Bob Jewell scored the winner.
Yeah, I were injured for that one as well.
Right.
I remember that one. It was a 2-0, wasn't it? Because I think they were up in the league above. So that was a sort of mini shock, if you like. But that got us into the third round, and we ended up playing at Villa Park. So,
did you ever end up playing back at Boothferry Park against City?
Yeah, we played the season after my first full season at Lincoln. I think we drew 1-1. Gavin Gordon scored, I think. Like City centre forward. We drew 1-1. I got a bit of stick off Kempton, the
Yeah.
terrace on the far side. So as you do, because I were, playing on the right, I'm sort of in front of them. So yeah, got a bit of abuse, but it's to be expected, I suppose.
Yeah. It was a bit of an odd experience coming back there.
It were nice to come back and see, because obviously a lot of the players were still there, sort of, but yeah, it was a strange one. I don't know if we played the year after as well. I can't remember, but I just remember that game. I think we drew 1-1. So yeah, it was a strange one.
That, I think. Was it late in the season?
I think it were early. I think it was one of the first ones.
Sunday, yeah.
You look for the fixtures when they come out and you see Hull City away. So God, I'm sure it were August or early September or something like that. So
okay, right. Yeah, like who do you remember from your time at the club? Like not just players, but staff and everyone around the club.
The players like guys like Rob Smith, similar to what Obbo said, really. Rob Smith, we'd see quite a lot of. John Cooper, always around, brilliant bloke. Simon Corkill, always coming in with a football to sign or something like that. Yeah. Your dad did the stadium announcing, I think, didn't he?
Yeah.
So yeah, who else? Ken, the groundsman Mark. I think he had a young lad working with him. I mean, Alistair or someone like that. But you used to see because we used to get changed there if we'd train up at the university, so we'd see them every day. So yeah, same people every day, and we got to know them quite well. Yeah,
and obviously seen quite a lot of the old names on Facebook and stuff. To keep in touch with people like Manny and people like that.
Yeah, well, Manny's in Australia. I've not spoken to him for a bit, to be honest, but one or two messages we send each other now and again. I'm seeing Adam Lowthorpe and Scott Maxfield. Can you remember Scott?
Yeah.
Remember him? We're going out for a beer in a few weeks, so we try and meet up every so often. But yeah, a lot of lads on Facebook, which is always good to, keep in touch that way, really, and see the old pictures. And it's always good to see the old dressing room, and before it all got knocked down.
Yeah. Is that funny picture? Must be a fancy dress one, was it? A Christmas do?
Oh yeah, the
Boothferry Park.
Yeah, I remember that. I think we'd had training. That must have been 94-ish, something like that. Christmas do, and obviously we're all there in his stupid 70s outfits and that. And I think we'd had training, and we'd been straight in players' bar after, and then we went outside for a picture, a group picture and that, and we're all there with his bottles of beer and stuff. And I think Mark, the groundsman, was doing some work on the pitch. The pitch was the best pitch ever, honestly. It looked like a bowling green. So we're all sort of sat in stands, like finishing his beers off, and one of the lads decided to throw his bottle on the pitch. So he throws it on obviously a big divot comes out. So I thought, that seems a good idea. So we all ended up throwing all these bottles of Budweiser on his pitch. Big lumps of turf coming out everywhere. So I don't think we were too happy with that, but that was a good night as well.
Where'd you end up that night?
It must have been LA's again. I can't remember, but
was that the main place then?
Yeah, we used to end up in there quite a bit, and then some food after or whatever. But I think we got the day off after, so we could have a bit of a sleep in.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, I bet the pitch was good for players like you and Manny who wanted to play a bit.
Pitch were brilliant, honest, but it were also good for away team. I think they enjoyed playing on it as well. So, pitch was absolutely incredible. So flat, and the grass was just brilliant, honestly. Really good pitch.
Yeah. Is there a high point of your time at City or Beaufort Park, do you think?
I'd say the first full season I were there. I mean, I were in the team and we were doing quite well. I'd scored about 6 or 7, I think, up to Christmas, which I didn't think were bad, from a wide position. I think we played Huddersfield on the Boxing Day. We won 1-0, and I got the winner in that game. There were about over 10,000 there. That was an amazing atmosphere. Honestly, it was incredible. So that was probably one of my best spells. And then I seemed to get sort of bombed out after Christmas and didn't really feature as much for whatever reason. I don't know.
Yeah. Similar question, but is there a game, like a memorable game that sticks out?
Well, yeah, that Huddersfield one,
Right, yeah.
with the crowd there and Boxing Day, and that was such a good atmosphere. Got to go back to the Fulham one, my debut. Just out on the pitch warming up and that, seeing the crowd come in. I was sort of used to playing in front of like 50 or 60 people, playing for, North Counties East League sort of standard and that, and then to be thrown in on a proper football league ground with new, sounds daft, but new footballs and your kit all laid out. We just you never forget that sort of thing. So
yeah, special kit at the time as well.
Yeah, the stripe one. I've got a couple of shirts. I've never got that one. I've got I think I've got one from around 95, the IBC logo, and one from about 97. So I'll hang on to them.
Yeah. You'll have Les Motherby after him if you're not careful. Who was your toughest opponent that you faced at Boothferry Park?
I never used to like playing against John Whitney, I'll be honest. Right. The guy who ended up, because he just loved a tackle. And if the ball were just anywhere near to be, a 30-70, not in his favour, he'd just go steaming through you, honestly. I didn't really like playing against him. He was always a bit, we were always up for a scrap, if you like. Lincoln were a tough team, to be honest. They had a lot of big lads. So they were always a hard team to play against when we played them. But yeah, I just remember where it got to know him a bit. Obviously, when I think he came to Hull, and I must have played in one game before I actually left. So yeah, I got to know him quite well. But yeah, he was a tough left back.
Yeah, I was watching highlights of a game he played for us against Chelsea, and he absolutely lays out Dennis Wise at one point.
Yeah.
And then goes to have a go at him afterwards.
Well, I were at Lincoln at the time, and obviously we all knew that Hull were playing Chelsea in the Cup, and I'm sure one of the lads said, Witters has said he's going to absolutely steam into Dennis Wise, on Saturday or something, and he obviously did. So he went looking for him, and sounds like he did him.
Well, there's a bit of a history there, or he just fancied taking him out.
I think he just fancied having a bit of a pop at him. So yeah, proper nailed him from what I can hear.
We talked a bit about goals, talked about the Carlisle one, but I watched a very good one against Burnley at home as well. Which is your favourite goal you scored at Beaufort, do you think?
I enjoyed that one because it was at the bunkers end, weren't it? Obviously the home end. A lot of my goals seem to be at the away end. I don't know why, which were all right, but it's always nice to score in front of your home fans, isn't it? So that Burnley game, I think we were struggling for players. We'd had a few injuries. Bobby Davison came in on loan, and Terry decided to use me as a sort of a main striker, if you like, as a two down the middle. And that was my first game as playing as a striker. And yeah, the second goal, it were a nice one. Yeah, I think we won 3-0 that day. A rare win.
Yeah, I suppose like Kempton was closed a lot during your time, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah, it was. So that was a bit weird on the man. It stopped the abuse coming, I suppose, when I was playing on that side. But we're a bit strange. I mean, that closed.
Yeah, I think the only player that celebrated in front of it was Warren Joyce that time.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I think he got a bit of stick for that as well, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he's getting all kinds of stick for being the captain, I think. Or something.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, but I remember that. He came in for a bit, didn't he? Yeah. It all turned when he kept him up, didn't he? So.
Yeah, true. Yeah. And then let's have a look. Who's like the best player you played with or against at Beaufort, do you
think? Played with probably Dino, I'd say. You could tell right from day one I was there, he was the main man sort of thing. And it was just good to see, his story sort of come to an end when he, his pinnacle sort of thing when he scored that goal at Wembley. But yeah, I'd say he was the best player. We had a few good ones technically. Glyn Hodges with brilliant left foot. obviously David Rocastle. But yeah, I'd say Dino. He stood out.
Fair. And then what about against? Do you remember any? Obviously, some good teams.
I remember back to the Oxford game, first game of the season, 94, I think it was, 94, 95. And I was playing wide right. Simon Dakin, if you remember Simon, he ended up falling down a lift shaft somehow. But
really?
Anyway, that's another story. But he was playing right back. I was sort of in front of him. We shared a house together, me, Simon, and Manny again. Go back to Manny. And we got absolutely roasted off Oxford's left winger, Chris Allen, he was called. And he absolutely tore us to shreds, honestly. Run rings round us. But then I think we were losing 4-0 at half time. And most of the goals seemed to come from our side. So, yeah, I'll never forget him.
And I guess one last one then is just, how do you reflect on your time at Boothferry Park? And is there anything you do differently, do you reckon?
I loved it. I'll be honest with you. Like I both said the other day, listening to his interview, it's best time of your life. Really was. Young lad playing professional football for a biggish club like Hull City, with a dream come true, really. So, yeah, I don't know if I'd change anything. No, all good memories. All good memories.